NewsBiscuit. Real fake news.
Welcome to NewsBiscuit, the UK's original fake news. NewsBiscuit, comedy's evil twin.
Brilliant.
I'm your host, Wrenfoe, and I'm joined by the next three hopefuls abused on Strictly Come Dancing. FlashArry.
Hello.
Mrs. Wrenfoe.
Hello.
And Paul L.
Hello.
This month sees Joe Biden quit the race to become world's oldest man. Keir Starmer becomes the next Tory Prime Minister. And Trump dodges Bullet, although Bullet claims he dodged Trump. And that brings us to our first round user brief where our panelists select their favourite headlines. Mrs. Wrenfoe, I think you're up first.
Tory leadership race to become Olympic sport. The Lib Dems were already pushing for like the crossover between politics and It's a Knockout was
yeah, you just want the reporter cutting to the Home Secretary on a bouncy castle.
Or somebody being fired out of a cannon.
Yes.
An unspecified target.
Yes, and not for
soft.
comedy reasons, just literally fired out of a cannon.
Yeah, a bit harsh, but
yeah.
fair.
So the Tory leadership campaign, who's in? Cleverly, ironically named Cleverly, is putting his name forward. Who else? Does anyone know? Because usually what happens is you get one or two really obscure Conservative MPs put their name in the ring, and you're like, oh, well, they might be good. I've never heard of them. And then you Google them, and then you find out why you've never heard of them, because they're an absolute nutcase. I want to privatise the death penalty. It's that level of kind of crazy.
Unelected Tory MPs to be dumped in rivers. Reports of spiking incident at jousting competition. I applauded when I read this headline. I just like to say, I love a pun, and I'm going to follow it very quickly with an again. I just laughed out loud. Man suspected of meat theft faces grilling.
Oh, dear.
I mean,
So
I hope
happy,
these are all
aren't
from
you?
the same person. They really entertained me on that one. Carpetright closes due to cash crisis and other underlaying problems.
Oh.
I also really like that one because my favourite smell in the world is new carpet, and I love going to a carpet shop because I used to love going down the aisles with the big rolls of carpet, and if no one's around, you can put your face like just in between them and get a really good smell of the carpet.
You
It's
can put
like
your face in between what?
in the rolls. Put your
Oh,
face
the
in
rolls. Oh, yes.
I went to an illegal rave in a carpet right when it had closed down. After it had closed down,
Is that why it's closed down?
Maybe that wasn't a rave. Maybe that's just what happens at the end of every carpet right day, where the staff just go big. They absolutely go nuts. Did they have remnants all around?
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was
For that reason, it was brilliant.
yeah. So it had that new carpet smell, but also the
Yes.
smell of weed. So it was.
That's an interesting Venn diagram of smells.
They had somehow like crunched the like the silver shutter up, so you had to crawl under a shutter to get into it. It was fun.
What an interesting life, Paula.
Where we lived, like you could hear this music every night, and the train station was massively busy in the morning when you was going to work with people like. And I was like, "What's going on?" So one Friday, we went, let's go and see. It was good.
So you weren't like invited or anything, but just like kind of the Pied Piper. You
I don't think you
responded
get
to the
invited
sounds
to
and
raves. It's not like a wedding. You don't get an invite to a rave.
You get a formal invitation through the post. Lord Lady such and such would like to invite you to black tie rave.
Ex-carpet, right?
Yes.
So there are all these stoned people standing on the platform with sort of small rolls of carpet.
Yes.
Samples, yes. I think carpet writer was like, why didn't we think of this earlier?
Save the business.
Yeah, people buy a lot more carpet when they're stoned.
Yeah, and for more ludicrous prices.
Yeah, FlashArry, you're next.
Presidential race, now maturity versus age.
Yes, so it's completely changed since the last podcast. Joe Biden is no longer a thing, despite us being told by the Democrats he's absolutely fine. And they've done a 180 and gone, he's really not fine.
We haven't got Frank Oz in to control him.
Yeah, Weekend at Bernie's. Yeah. And whereas Kamala Harris, we've been told for yonks that she was absolutely unelectable by the Democrats, which is why they didn't pick her in the first place. And now they're saying, no, she's our gal. She's brilliant. So I don't know who to trust other than probably not Democrats generally in how they explain these things. So yeah, apparently she's amazing now. If only we'd known that earlier. If only she'd been around, I don't know, the White House for the last 4 years. But yeah, she's come out of nowhere, this girl. What I do like, of course, about it is that everyone's been mispronouncing her name forever, including Joe Biden, and she's just politely gone along with it. But I think if she gets to be president, I think you're going to see some significant deaths, people being looked up. But if people have been mispronouncing my name for that long, I've got a load of seething resentment.
Yeah, but I think it's like when you start calling like a work colleague by the wrong name, and then you just have to own it after that. Like it's like the trigger thing in Only Fools and Horses, calling Rodney Dave, and I respect that because I've also done that with a work colleague in a previous job, but for an inordinate amount of time. And then I knew what their name was, and I was embarrassed. But I thought, right, well, I've just got to own this and keep going with it. So I kind of did it in a
change their name by default.
Yeah, maybe Brian thinks the fact that I'm calling him like Steve is just like a little jokey. It's like a little play on words. It's on my little nickname.
Yeah.
Oh, Brian, you Steve. So maybe come on, I could do similar.
That'd be brilliant if she's called Rodney. We haven't had a Rodney in the White House at all.
Sorry, FlashArry, you were going to say something?
No, the moment's gone.
Oh, sorry. Jesus. God.
And it wasn't very good.
Mrs.
In
Red will recognise
retrospect.
those phrases.
Y2K24.
Yes, Microsoft crashed, didn't it?
Yes, and more global damage than any terrorist group could ever hope to achieve.
No, but you can guarantee terrorist groups are looking at going, oh, all we got to do is just press Control-Alt-Delete on Windows and the world grinds to a halt. Because
we're back in the Stone Age.
It is the kind of thing, though, that for anybody who's ever worked, and briefly, and I don't know how this happened, I can only assume it was like tallest dwarf syndrome. I had to look after IT for my company, and it's the kind of thing that anybody who's ever worked in IT, like you just have cold shivers. Because I'm a great believer in, let's just give it a go and see what happens. And I imagine that's exactly what happened to whoever it was. It was like, well, it's not quite ready, this release, but let's give it a go and see what happens. And then
I wonder if they did that denial thing of, in the room that they were in, obviously the computer had like switched off, and they in their head they went, oh, it's probably just my computer.
yes, yeah,
not realizing billions of computers around the world have just suddenly gone mute.
I'm just going to roll this out. What's the worst that could happen? Oh God, I brought down the world. I mean, that is a really, really bad day at work.
I did have echoes in my head as well of sort of someone working in a COVID lab somewhere. In China, going, oh, it probably didn't leak out very far.
Yes,
and how quickly do you fess up that it was you? It's the first few hours of trying to formulate a way of trying to put the blame onto someone else.
Oh my God, yes, I would be like, no, it was him. He did it. It was Brian. I mean, Steve. Brian.
Deleting all the CCTV footage to show that you didn't go to work that day.
Well, running straight on from that, Chris Grayling's first week at CrowdStrike going supremely well.
Failing Grayling, yes.
Cheshire Supergrass enters witness protection program. That's a bit of a
I
pun
don't
of all.
understand that. Can you explain that to the idiots at the back, please?
Witness is in Cheshire, isn't it?
Yeah. Why is that relevant?
Witness sounds like witness.
Oh.
You've got to want it. I mean, you can't just. These jokes don't work themselves. You've got to really want someone.
You've got to really work for that, haven't you? I mean, bring me back my underlaying carpet, right? Okay, yeah. So hand clap, FlashArry.
Gosh, she's a tough audience, Mrs. Wrenfoe.
Last one, Penny dropped.
This is Penny Mordaunt, the lady with the sword.
A few Games Workshops on Friday had a morning day.
She did. I mean, for a lot of men, she did fulfill a kind of an ultimate fantasy when she was in that dress and with the sword and everything. You were just like, yes, bring it on. We're going full Dungeons and Dragons now.
God, boys are weird.
No,
So
really brilliant. Girls,
Seriously.
hot girls with swords. That's what we wanted from our government. She lost her seat. All right, I mean, funny, I guess, but also a little bit harsh because she'd probably been a front runner to get the Tory leadership. That dream has died. She also went to drama school, so she is used to dreams dying. Paul L.
CrowdStrike advises GPs to ring at 8 a.m. to book an appointment. BBC to launch leniently come dancing.
If someone made me dance like that, I would hit them. I mean, I don't think that's what's happened. I think it's the professional dancers hitting the contestants. But I'm saying if someone made me dance like that and like was spinning me over their head, I would hit them. There is like no question in my mind, I think.
You can't get people to dance like that without a certain degree of brutality. As that woman, that horse riding woman has discovered, hasn't she?
Yes.
The one who's our number one female Olympiad or whatever, who's been torturing horses to make them dance for her pleasure, and was caught on video, and she's now had to sort of withdraw from the Olympic Games. But I mean, of course, that was a no-brainer. How do you get a horse to do this like weird fucking dance? Horses don't do that naturally. You get a cattle prod, and that's how you get it motivated.
Well, wasn't she complaining that the whip wasn't whippy enough?
Yes,
That's what I complain to Mrs. Wrenfoe every Friday night.
Oh, we just keep opening these terrible doors.
That's
what she says in reply.
Yes, it was the wrong sort of whip, I believe.
And what other whips are there? This is usually where Paul L jumps in with I've got a cousin who...
when I was at the Carpet Right Rave, there were all kinds of whips.
Well, I've actually got a cupboard behind me.
I need to know, what other whips are there?
Right, okay, I'll make it really simple for you. There's a long slashy whip that does slashy, and there's a big flat whip that goes flatty, and she was using the one you're supposed to use the flat one, that's okay, but she wanted slashy. Basically, what she really wanted was Penny Mordaunt's sword, I think. Like, actually, the fact she only had a whip was an inconvenience.
There's the cat of nine tails. She could have got that one out. That would have seemed particularly brutal.
Disney staff on strike over Mickey Mouse wages.
Wah, 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 wah.
That was a bit hard.
She is, isn't she? She doesn't do this to her own ones. Have you noticed that? She's to other people's. She just
look. You get me out this time on a Saturday. I'm afraid this is the audience reception that you're gonna get.
No, I'm very tentative.
Paul's very shy normally, and you send him back into his cupboard.
If there was only a whip. Secretive zookeeper asked about keeping animals, gives cagey answer.
Oh, that's excellent. No, Paul, you've redeemed yourself with that. Well done. Well done.
How is that one okay and the other one isn't? I
just love a pun. I just love a pun. Honestly,
the other one was a pun.
No, it wasn't a good one. I like a good pun.
Oh, she's so fickle.
Okay, this might lose you, Mrs. Wrenfoe, but let's give it a go. Football decides not to come home.
Oh, well, this is now red rag for Bull. And where does Paul live? Because I'm going to go around and punch him. Would you like me to explain the offside rules?
You know where he lives. You just listen out for music and the smell of carpet, and you'll locate him.
I've got no proper carpet. I've just got little samples all the way down there.
Our next round is True Biscuit, where our panel has to guess which is a real headline and which is a fake one. Paul L., we're going to start with you first.
People are threatening to poo in Paris River Seine. Is it Seine? I can't.
It is Seine.
Yes.
And ironically, it's insane in terms of where they're pooing.
So this is people angry at the expense of cleaning up the river for the Olympics.
Yeah.
Have rallied under the hashtag. Now, I've just got to do some French here, so be prepared to be amazed. Je suis dans la Seine la de 3 juin.
And what did you get in your GCSE, French?
Got an F, actually, which I was really pleased about because I said to the teacher, that's easy to remember.
They're angry that the Olympics is costing a lot of money to clean up the river, but in order to protest, they're shitting in the river.
Yes, their slogan is they have plunged us into shit. It's their turn to plunge into our shit. Apparently, Emmanuel Macron did promise to swim in the river before the games.
Ah, well, that would have been an incentive to shit in it. I think everyone would have shit in it under that scenario.
Which I think is the same about eating the eggs when it was had the salmonella, was it?
Salmonella.
Salmonella.
Salmonella's a character from a Harry Potter book.
At least I can't pronounce English or French, so it's not.
Your French teacher took some comfort from that. He can't speak anything, so I don't feel so bad now. It just seems odd that they're increasing to the running cost of cleaning up the river by shitting in it even more.
did they ship directly into it or into like a container? Because I have had to deal with a situation at work before where somebody decided that they would poo into a bag and then put the bag in the toilet.
Oh, I'd like to think that it was, like they were crapping off a bridge with some sort of Gallic flare, or sort of.
Stuck up their arse. That kind of flare.
FlashArry, you say, was it literally poo sticks? Is this a literal interpretation of poo sticks?
It's an Olympic demonstration sport this time around.
I want to go back to the bag at your work. Let's see, in my head, what had happened is that person, they had a blockage at home, had to poo in a bag, and they thought, where can I get? Yeah, brought it with them all the way in.
I mean,
on the train with their roll of carpet.
With the roll of carpet.
Yeah. And so last night when I was watching the Olympics, they had all the competitors on barges going down the River Seine, and they had a big water cannon firing water at the people on the barges, and they're all smiling, mouths open. So was it just French excrement? Are these Olympiads going to get proper ill over the next couple of days? If so, this is funny.
It's going to make some of the sprinting events a bit more urgent, isn't it?
Yes. Marathon's going to be a nightmare, though.
Paula Radcliffe led the way. They have nothing to fear.
Believing that our French cousins could virtually get away with everything, I'd say true.
No, that's ridiculous. I don't think that's true at all. It's nonsense. And I think that appalling demonstration of French proved that it was nonsense.
That's the bit this is falling on, is Paul's French accent.
Yes.
See, I got an E in French GCSE, and I have no idea what Paul said. So
I
think he's a genius as far as I'm concerned.
I got an A star in French GCSE, and I have no idea what Paul says.
That's my skill.
It's the language of love, Mrs. Wrenfoe. That's what he was doing there.
It is Ray.
It's what, sorry?
Is that true in French, Ray?
I don't know.
Yeah, Frey, that's very good. Frey is true. Yeah.
Oh, you lost 60% of our viewers on that one.
So there's a synchronized French shitting squad out there somewhere.
Yes. And that hashtag means, which I said in French, is I shit in the Seine on 23rd of June.
Oh, right. Oh,
that's like a specific day.
But, I guess you would have to, wouldn't you? Because the rivers flow. That's the thing about rivers. They flow. So there's no point in you having a shit a day too early because it'll pass through. So you all had to do it all at the same time.
But that's a long time before the Olympics. I think they've peaked too early. I think.
You think they're just holding it in the whole time?
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think there was.
When you got to go, you got to go.
Yeah.
Mrs. Wrenfoe, what have you got?
A man from Brazil who claimed that a fish swam up his penis hole has been arrested for making a false statement.
What? Hold on.
Do you want to fake that?
I don't know. Boys are weird. You like Penny Morgan with swords. We've established. I don't know.
Maybe he gets a park in disabled bays and stuff. But how did the police get involved? Did he try and report the fish to the police?
Well, no. What happened was so a medical team were called to the scene. So he was then arrested for wasting emergency services time.
So he just wanted people to play with his willy for a while.
Surely there are easier ways to get people to play with your.
Depends on the willy. Some willies don't get played with at all. So,
as an aside, I don't think I've ever said the phrase "penis hole" before, but it's a morning of firsts.
Yeah, there are fishes that will do this, aren't there? There are fishes that have evolved for some reason to swim up.
Yeah.
Why evolution has done that, I don't know. It can't be nice for the fish.
No.
Yeah,
you're sitting in a pool, just waiting for someone to randomly wee into it, and that's probably not going to happen. So you're not even going to fulfil your life's function. And then when it does happen and you're like, brilliant, I'm swimming up the wee, I'm going into the penis, yay. And then you're there, you're going, what's next? And
yeah. I never thought this through.
Yes.
Yes.
I've made a terrible error.
Can they get back out again? Or is it once you're in, you're in?
They're barbed, aren't they?
What, penises? Oh, you should see someone about that, Harry. That's not right. The fish are barbed. Ooh.
Yes.
Ow.
That's got
so it's a one-way journey.
I was just typing in NHS 111. See what the advice would be.
Googling where his nearest Brazilian river is.
Writhing around with his penis in his hand.
Oh, God.
Oh well, we've all done that. See,
on a
any,
riverbank,
any seaside resort, there's me. Just doesn't mean I've had a fish being involved. Just leave me. Just leave me to my own devices. Give it half an hour, and I'll be fine.
So you use devices, do you?
How'd you get the fish out? Not that it was a fictitious fish, but how?
It was fictitious fish, so this is like it's
No,
like
but
there are real instances, and that was the horror that was just suddenly rising through me, and thinking, oh God, what is the procedure?
Yeah, because
how intrusive.
Yeah, because then I started doing it. Yes. I feel the joke is on him at that point, isn't it? When he's had his penis removed.
We're gonna have to amputate.
Is there not another option? Oh, I don't know.
No, sorry.
No, I mean, you could guess a big tube, attach it, and someone sucks at the other end, maybe.
What is this mime you're doing? Stop it. What is happening?
Slap the penis really hard until the fish sort of leaves its own volition.
That's a different specialism, that is, I'm afraid.
Yeah, I don't know how you get it out, even slightly.
Paul's now found the NHS 111 page, which is going to tell us how we do remove a fish from a penis in the unlikely event of any of us needing to do that.
Paul's also checking to see is halibut a too large a fish.
At the NHS 111, what you do is you put your penis into a fish bowl with a little fake house, and the fish will swim out into the little.
Oh, that's really cute.
Oh, bravo! That's a beautiful picture, Paul.
It also entitles you to go to aquariums and dip your penis into the various tanks. And you've got the perfect alibi.
I'm going to go true for this.
I believe it is true.
That's the worst Martin Luther King speech I've ever heard. Mrs. Wrenfoe, is this a thing?
No, it's not a thing. And someone on NewsBiscuit is very weird for making up this story. You're all weird.
That is an odd, even for NewsBiscuit, that's an odd one.
What? Fish swam up my penis hole, claims Brazilian. There it is on the NewsBiscuit website. So,
oh my lord.
Yeah, so
it's really weird, that story.
It gets better. I mean, I've said didn't read the rest of it because the rest of it is preposterous. But the story goes, it was clear a fish had not swam up the man's penis hole. Technically, it was a medium-sized whale, which is a mammal and not a fish. So it was easy to point out that the man's claim was false. The Maritime Accuracy Police arrived, immediately took the man into custody under the Massive Dick Act of 2019. So yeah, it's a real story. May well have been written by someone on Paul's rave after a night of carpet and weed. Yeah.
Competitive eater banned from hot dog competition due to sponsorship from vegan rival.
Oh,
that's a bit churlish though to ban the guy. But if he's willing to eat the meat sausages, does it not matter?
I don't understand. I'm so confused.
But surely it's his sponsorship people that be a bit more aggrieved, going, we've sponsored you a huge amount of money to be, the face of veganism, and the first week you're now entering a hot dog eating competition. You are shocking. You're the worst representative we could have picked. They'd be the one to be annoyed.
I mean, to be fair, most hot dogs I've ever eaten, I don't think they've had meat in them. I think the divide between meat and a hot dog like that.
Oh, the chemically reclaimed, stuff that's very weird colour.
That's quite a long journey. So maybe he was unthinkingly eating. I mean, maybe like vegan people do like to tell people that they're vegan a lot. With no offense to any vegans listening, but every vegan I know likes to tell me about being vegan a lot. So maybe
because they're in a lot of pain. There's a lot of physical pain, and it's a cry for help when they tell you.
Like confessional.
Yeah. Make the pain go away. Just force feed me meat. I'll pretend I didn't want it.
Yes, it's made worse by the fact that he was actually the defending champion, so he didn't get a opportunity to.
Okay, no, stop there, FlashArry. So he'd previously won a hot dog eating competition. And so the vegan industry went, that's our guy. That's the one we want
to push.
That's the face of veganism. The man who's eaten more meat than anyone else.
But maybe they were thinking if we can convert him to veganism, then anybody's a potential target.
Well, it clearly didn't work because he's entered the competition the second year running.
Veganism drives you to desperate acts.
Yeah, apparently 76 hot dogs in 10 minutes as a desperate act.
Wow.
Maybe
So-
that's why they sponsored him. In the end, they went, I know we're really sort of against meat, but 76 is impressive. We should sponsor that guy.
Did he have them with ketchup? I'm thinking, would you be allowed to use a lubricant to get them down more quickly?
I think you pop them in water, I think, and then...
Right,
What's the noise that goes with it, Paul? Do it again. The noise the fish makes as it goes up.
Is this the most phallic NewsBiscuit podcast ever?
No.
Oh.
Badly, probably in here.
No.
No, it doesn't even make the top 5 this week.
Disappointed. Did they say criteria for the vegan sponsorship? You have to be a vegan? Because
They said your name needs to be Meaty McMeatface. And we'll get you.
Yeah,
It
if they
just
weren't clear.
assumes only vegans would apply, as opposed to someone who's just gorging himself constantly on meat.
Like if I was sponsored by Orangina, I wouldn't think, oh, I can only drink Orangina. I'd be like, cool, other soft drinks also available. Like they need to be very specific on that.
Why are you dropping Orangina into our podcast? Have you got a little side hustle going on here, Mrs. Wrenfoe?
No, I'll tell you my story. I was thinking about Paul's bad French, and I was thinking about being on holiday in France as a child, where we also drank Orangina. And I was thinking, even as a child back then, I don't think my French was as bad as Paul's was on this podcast. That was the little train of thought that I'd gone on.
Trues and falses then, hot dogs and all. Paul, can you do 76 in 10 minutes?
Me, not hot dogs. Hey.
You get so much interest off the back of these podcasts, Paul. You get so many people right in. How can I meet him? Does he do coach parties?
Yeah, but he has to dip them in water first.
Yeah.
Oh, sacre bleu. So let's.
This is the bilingual episode.
Let's go through. I don't know.
Absolute nonsense, FlashArry. I think it's nonsense.
It is
What?
true, and apparently the Major League Eating Organisation has been stepping in to try and resolve the situation.
Sorry, FlashArry, did you say it was a sport?
If you reckon you could gorge one food in 10 minutes, what do you reckon you could? Probably
Rice. I love rice. I could eat so much rice.
Because they're so small. That's easy.
Yeah, exactly.
I ate 76 little things of rice in 10 minutes. Finally, we reached the magic 8 ball.
The magic 8 ball!
Each of our guests is going to give us their predictions for next month's news.
Farage ecstatic now that he is accountable as an MP.
Joe Biden's take over as next England manager. Yeah, and he's going to bring back Maguire as well.
Yes, that's the first sign of dementia.
Paris on alert as orcas spotted in the River Seine.
Yes, you don't want one of those swimming up your bottom as you're dangling over the bridge. And that brings us to the end of this episode. And I can feel this month's winner is anyone not managed by Gareth Southgate. I'd like to thank FlashArry,
Thank you. Cheers.
Mrs. Wrenfoe,
Thank you.
and Paul L.
Thank you very much.
And I leave you with these headlines. Polymath arrested on suspicion of counting parrots.
I don't
Look at
get
Mrs.
that one.
Wrenfoe. Look at Mrs. Wrenfoe. She looks
No.
angry. She's just
I-
angry at that.
I don't even understand. I don't understand any part of that. Well, I understand
don't.
what I know what a parrot is. That's the only bit I can tell you.
Oh my word! Right, I'm just going to edit in some like her. I'm going to actually, out of spite, I'm going to edit in her laughing intensely at the end of that, just to give the impression that that was her favourite. Kane in Spain goes mainly down the drain. And FBI determines that Trump's teleprompter was actually the assassin's target.
You've been listening to NewsBiscuit. NewsBiscuit is not only free for all readers, but we also accept submissions from any budding satirists, young or old. Visit newsbiscuit.com to submit headline stories and to support new writers.
NewsBiscuit. Real fake news.
Didn't you accidentally one night break a biscuit eating record? Don't
I
make
think
that
I might
up.
mention the previous podcast. Yeah, I did. I broke the Jaffa cake eating world record.
This is not attractive qualities one wants in a life partner, just so we're really clear here.
No, but it explains why there's no Jaffa cakes in the house.
Yeah, fair.
Paul, sorry, what would your food of choice be?
Just looking, I haven't got nothing in the fridge at the moment.
Was that hypothetical, Paul?
Oh, wouldn't that be horrendous if you only could gorge what was left in your cupboards? It'd be red kidney beans, wouldn't it? Every time. You're like, oh, really? I've left it for a reason. I'm just like, ooh. And FlashArry, what's your food?
Oh, I'd probably have to be bacon.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you're going for a specifically quite chewy, gristly kind of thing. But you still think you can gorge it in 10 minutes?
Yeah, I'm in for the long game there.
Oh my word! You're swallowing strips of bacon whole.
Oh,
I mean, I'm actually feeling physically sick.
I like bacon, but that is
that's really bad.
That is a lot.
Just get this image of this almost like a snake. His jaw just drops, and it's